splash?
Oh, we just did the intro splash. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Wrath and Giga, a Wrath and Glory campaign. I'm John Caspian.
I'm Mark Schubach.
John Galvin. I'm Rob Bristow.
Yeah, we have Rob a little bit off the screen right now. That's going to be my fault. I'm going to have to fix that one in a second here. So to begin with, our campaign is set on the world of Charybdion, which is in the Segmentum Solar region. It's kind of cut off from the main light of the Astronomicon, and so it's been taken over. Kind of not taken over, but how do you say it? A man named Jackal Veronius, which is a rogue trader, came in with a fleet, and has basically gotten law and order kept going on his behalf. So he's kind of the one in charge of things, I guess. All of the governors and the hive people, they still do their thing, but he makes sure to enforce anything. And you are part of a war band that has been put together to fix problems for him, basically. So he has made special requests where he needed to, and bribed and done whatever it takes to make sure that he has a couple of Space Marine scouts, which is John and also Aaron, who's not able to be here today, but will be here in future episodes. Mm-hmm. And also Ark, which is Rob's character, who is a Skitarii Ranger, and then a Tempestus Scion, which is Mark Schubach. Yeah. So... yeah. You guys are all called into, effectively you're contacted and then called to this meeting that is going to be taking place. So first, if you will, while I fix the camera for Rob so we can see him, if you don't mind going over your characters, your name, your character, what they're good at, weapons and armor, etc. So we'll start with Mark.
All right. My character is Tyrus Obervire, and he is a Tempestus Scion. He's pretty much average in most of the human stats, but excels at agility, and I wanted him to have above average intellect and willpower as well, being that he has the training and the gusto to make it through the extreme conditions that being a Tempestus Scion requires of someone. But he is fairly well armored, not as well as the Space Marines. And he is adept at shooting his hotshot las gun, which apparently is one of the nicer weapons in the group when we were comparing what we can shoot. But he is definitely a man who wants to get this whole situation under control, since he is, I guess, I would like to play him as a character who's obsessed with order and everything in its place, and a place for everything.
Nice. All right, John, your turn.
All right. My character is named Hel Caprian. He is a scout from the Carcharodons. So,
Space
for
Sharks.
Those that... Yeah, Space Sharks. So basically, he was recruited by some Space Sharks off of a prison world. And he is almost a full Carcharodon now, in the process of being a scout. But he's on this mission to kind of prove to his chapter that he is as tough as the rest of them. So he's a bit of a
pushover,
surly malcontent, bent on kind of proving himself through this mission.
Nice.
Carcharodons, they basically just say they draft essentially the best of prison planets, right?
Yeah. You basically have to. One, you live on a prison planet, so you have to prove that you can survive on a prison planet, but then they take the best survivors from there. But, Hel definitely wants to try to prove himself to his brothers because he thought he was tough before he got to the Space Marines, and then they kind of showed him what's up. So in terms of attributes that my character excels in, I'm on the way to being a Space Marine, so my enhanced physiology is kind of like a little bit beyond normal human measures, but for a Space Marine, my initiative and toughness are both kind of higher than average, and that shows my prison world upbringing. And from there, I got the standard scout issued weapons, which is going to be a bolt gun and a combat knife.
Nice.
Bolt gun is kind of the utilitarian bolt weapon for these guys. So not too fancy, not too flashy, but it gets the job done. Just like my character.
Nice. Good. Rob?
I'm playing Skitari from Styges 8, which is the least trusted of the Forge worlds, and they're also very interested in xenotech, so he's actually part of the Xenorites, so out there trying to find technology. His name, or his designation, is AR41572K, and he was cleverly nicknamed Ark by other humans who
Nice.
decided that was too much, too many numbers to remember. Attributes he excels in, he's above average in most of the attributes, other than strength, because he really doesn't see the purpose of being all that strong with people like him around. And fellowship, he has a fellowship of ones, so he doesn't get along well with things that don't talk computer code. Which actually comes up because his influence is based on his intellect and not his fellowship. So that'll be fun. He's good at shooting things and technology-related things, and is fairly adept at taking damage, I guess, because he doesn't bleed. I think he has a pretty high shock value compared to everybody else. Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah.
Like I'm at a 6. You're at a.
I'm at a 9.
Oh God. Yeah. A little jump.
Just a little
skip ahead of me.
A little skip ahead.
Yep. So for those watching, we are going to be talking through things as we play, also because it's our first time playing, so it helps us to remind ourselves, and it also helps you watching to make sure you know what's going on. I have a dice cam over here for me. For now, y'all don't have a dice cam, so you're going to tell how many icons you get. And in this system, you have stats such as strength. When you have a strength test, you roll your strength, and that's how many dice you get to roll. You're looking for a 4 and above, and if you happen to get a 6, it counts as 2. Those are called exalted icons. Whenever you roll for your tests, you also get to roll a unique dice, which is called your wrath die. And then that one is a unique color. In my case, it's always going to be orange. And if you do that and you get a 6, it is a critical success. If you get a 1, it's a complication. And the cool thing about this game is that complications are done with the player and the GM deciding on what happens. Yes. Cool. So players, make sure you set your your glory to 2 each.
Yeah.
All right. There's my 2.
Isn't Glory the group one? And
Oh, that
Wrath
is. Yeah. Your wrath is 2 each, I believe. That's the one. Glory start off at nothing, I think.
So we have 2 wrath dice, but we always roll a wrath dice with our attacks.
Yeah.
With everything, yep. Every test that you take, you roll as well.
All right.
Yep. So in case you get a 1, complication. That can happen.
Now
all right.
we can.
So, to begin with, you receive a message from Veronius, the rogue trader, and it says the following. Rogue Trader Veronius on your data slates that you have with you. The message is short, almost curt, describing the current mission for your warband. He says, Tribdion is an ocean world of significant value to the Gilead system. The planetary governor, Ganthet Veneratio, these names in 40k, has gone missing, and we have reason to believe he is dead. As such, this planet needs a new governor, and I'm going to ensure that the succession proceeds quickly. Tribdion's production of food is too important to the Gilead system to let it fall into anarchy. One of the largest problems involves the nobles of the House Hive, Adon. These Upper Hive elite relish taking insult at any opportunity. There has been a series of apparent murders amongst their ranks. Eventually, one will use these deaths as an excuse to accuse a rival, and the planetary's industry will fall apart as the nobles war amongst themselves. I want this murderer found, and swift, retributive action taken against them. Understood? At the same time, verify the governor's death if you can. Veneratio's disappearance was far too convenient for my taste. I'll not have any trivialities distract from the greater threats to the Gilead system. Your first step should be to contact Prefect Orlis, the current highest-ranking administratum official, and interim governor to gain more specific details about the murder. Your shuttle is currently en route. It is an Arvis shuttlecraft, and it is currently heading down from the Rogue Traders flotilla, where we begin our adventure. Ooh. I don't have music queued, unfortunately. That's for later, as we have the epic music that starts. Yes. Your group's shuttle lands on one of the private landing pads that protrude like blisters from the top of the hive. This is one of the highest parts of the hive. It is clean. You have long, big archways and arches that you can see. Everything is clean. The streets are clean. And in this city, since this planet is a ocean world, there's a lot of vegetation, even in the upper parts of the hive. So you have a lot of moss-like plants. You even have trees in the upper parts of the hive that make the people that live there feel like they're on Terra, or another world that once was. So you land, and then you see in the distance Prefect Aurelus. He seems impatient and is waltzing back and forth in the distance.
I guess I'll make my way forward, seeing as
All right. You have guards who are escorting you, and one of them says, "If you will, please wait here until the prefect is ready." So you have a few moments to talk amongst yourselves, since you haven't really spent too much time with each other, and to discuss all the things that might be happening in this place.
It appears we need to set order into what we are going to be doing. I believe we should first locate the remains, if possible, or the actual location, if alive, the previous governor. The acting governor would probably be more than happy to help clue us in on any perhaps rumors or other leads that would get us in the right direction.
Well, I think we need to shake things up, put some pressure on them. One of them has got to be up to something. I think it's all from the inside.
Perhaps starting at the beginning, where this supposed murder happened, finding evidence of this crime, maybe taking us along either one of those journeys.
I could see that being useful. Whatever crime scene there may or may not be, the only thing we know is that the governor is missing. They don't know where the crime actually may have happened.
We'll have to have been seen somewhere.
Yes. There might have been a last scene here, but we don't know where the disappearance took place. Unless the, Prefect Aurelus?
Yes.
He's hiding something from us.
All right. Well, the big thing is results. So, we make sure he's dead. And if he's dead, we make sure there's no other deaths. And then we make sure who we want to be governor is governor.
Yep. And then if
those that finding who killed the previous governor as well.
And if those who caused his death get in our way, it's okay to put them down.
Absolutely.
They're only human.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. After some time, you are led by the very clean-looking Imperial Guardsmen that patrol these corridors into the throne chamber, where the governor normally is. You see Prefect Aurelus off to the side of the chair in his spot. He's just done finishing pacing and barking commands at a lowly officer, who then walks off with a data slate full of orders and things to do. And you come before him and he says, "So you're Jackal Veronis' neutral investigators, I take it." He regards you all critically, sniffs, and then pops another grape in his mouth. "You'll do, I suppose. But understand this. Jackal may operate under an Imperial warrant, but you do not. I allow you, as a courtesy to the esteemed rogue trader, on account of our mutual goals, but you are not, I repeat, not, under any circumstances, to make this situation worse. Is that understood?"
I will treat him as just like the other Imperial officers did, and salute.
Okay.
I will nod. I mean, I see no problem with what he's saying.
All right.
I will stare coldly at him.
He continues, "There are to be no accusations without proof. Your presence here is under the auspices of the rogue trader, and that grants you certain latitudes and liberties, but it does not grant you authority. You are to extend the Hive's nobles the respect they are accustomed to during the course of this investigation. Is that clear? Ah, good. Good. Now, what do you need to know? Quickly. I don't really have time to spare on this endeavor. He sighs. Normally, the enforcers would handle something like this, he mutters, but they are busy suppressing riots in the other hives. Tribdion is suffering from seething planet-wide unrest, and if we don't solve this murder quickly, things are only going to get worse.
So, is there a crime scene where the governor went missing?
Yes. There's a crime scene that they have already blocked off.
Alright, is it still in its original condition? Has it been tampered with?
He doesn't have that particular bit of information. He has simply been told that they have the crime scene under control.
Alright, well, we'll check that out when we get to it. But further questions would be, do you have any leads on perhaps where the governor might have been taken if he's alive?
Alright, so you're going to roll for convincing him to give you more information. So currently he is slightly hostile toward you. He doesn't really care for you.
So what would I have to roll for that?
Fellowship.
Fellowship, I believe.
Influence?
So is there a...
It might be influence.
Either one.
There's investigation.
Well, that'll be when we actually get to the crime.
Influence.
Right. So
Straight
your
up into it.
difficulty number for this one is going to be 2.
All right, well...
I got it. I got 2 5s.
2 5s? Nice.
Yep.
All right, I just got a 1.
You got 1? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with a computer, so I get 1 whole die. I don't succeed.
Okay. So I'm going to count that as a basic success.
Yeah.
Okay, he tells you the following information. He says there have been 4 bodies found in the last month. Mirit Tarimnar, Kevin Triss, Larson Keel, and Axon Volis. The last body, Axon Volis, was found just last night, and it's what prompted Veronis' involvement. The crime scene is, he says the crime scene is still relatively fresh, and should be investigated first. Each victim was found to be missing certain valuables, which originally made linking them together more difficult, as many enforcers focused on the robbery aspect.
Now, these weren't the high-class Hive City guys that were killed, were they?
Yes, these are high-class folks.
All right. Okay.
Yep. They all have names, so...
Were they all killed the same way?
He doesn't know exactly, but they were all attempted robberies, from what he says.
Or used to cover up the...
So the crime scene that we have access to is not for the governor, it's for one of these other ones?
it's probably the governor's.
Yes, this first one is for the Axon Volis, who is not the governor.
Ah, gotcha.
So after he lists all this off, I would kind of, with my low fellowship roll, just kind of butt in. Yes, but what about the crime scene for the governor?
Oh, we have that certainly under control. You'll have to discover that one later, but for now you'll have to deal with these other high-minded individuals.
All right, well...
They're all part of very well-connected families, you see, so as soon as one goes down, all the problems start.
If the crimes are linked,
us.
yes, if the crimes are linked, then precious evidence is probably the best.
Indeed. Yes.
All right, I'll go check it out.
All right.
Not because you said it, but because it's a good idea.
Of course. Yeah, it's because I said it. All right, so we'll make our way to the crime scene then.
All right. So now, scene 2. In the estates of the murdered. Axon Volis' apartment is bright and spacious, with an open-plan living area rising up over 2 levels. A bedroom balcony overlooks the living area, directly below which is Axon Volis' body. It's been covered by a deep green, expensive-looking cape. A dark stain of blood has spread from underneath, with a curious gap interrupting its even spread.
I will be gasping more at the size of the place he lives in, thinking, wow, I remember 10 families living in this space when I was growing up. This is truly what wealth has obtained. But as far as the murder scene, I've been exposed to enough death. It doesn't faze me.
I'll be looking around, gauging the valuable.
The valuables?
Is that what got you in prison to begin with?
Who knows?
Yeah.
But if it was a robbery, there wouldn't be this much fancy stuff left.
That's true.
So you, as you're looking around for valuables, you notice that the bedroom door is wide open.
Ooh.
I will unceremoniously uncover the body and begin investigating.
All right.
I'll go slip off into the bedroom.
Slip into something more comfortable.
Vallis's body, still in his sleeping robes, is a bloody and crumpled mess. His neck twisted at an unnatural angle. However, that is not his only injury. Both of his hands have been removed, causing pools of blood. You may now test a difficulty 3 Medicae test. Medicae being
It's
medic.
definitely a different version of sleight of hand than I thought it would be. You said what kind of test?
Medicae.
I do not succeed. I get 2 successes.
2 successes?
But Medicaid is not my
2 successes
push.
as well.
Okay, cool. So you don't have any further information that you can glean from that particular thing about his hands. His other injuries are consistent with a fall. Also, rigor mortis is just beginning to fade. So death occurred approximately 36 hours ago, sometime between 12 and 2 a.m.
Oh.
You also notice a blood stain on the floor.
Can I do an investigation roll to try to
Indeed,
get more?
that's difficulty 3.
Alright, investigation.
Nope, 2 again.
Oh.
Alright, I'll throw my 7 dice at it. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 successes?
Get your wrath dice.
Yeah, 6 successes.
Did you put your wrath dice
All
in there?
right.
Oh, well, here I'll.
So
You gotta-
make
you
that
gotta roll.
complicated. There you go.
So, sorry, 7 successes.
Nice. All right. Well, very,
I
very.
get elbowed. Again.
Now you can push that exalted icon to give yourself a wrath that you can use later.
Sure.
Yeah. So give yourself another wrath because you have plenty of successes, so you can push that. And for those watching, pushing an icon, an exalted icon, you can push it toward different effects as long as you already have the number of successes you need. All right. So whatever was here was round and removed after the blood had stopped flowing. Judging by the size and position, and a few fur fibers left behind, it was most likely a rug made from some exotic off-world beast.
Flat bear, perhaps?
So, John, you're in the bedroom?
Yes.
There are signs of a struggle. Tossed sheets, knocked over tables, scattered personal effects. It looked like Vallis awoke before the killer could murder him in his bed, and he attempted to fight back. However, it's unclear if the fall was accidental or deliberate. Do a challenging investigation check of 5.
All right.
Sounds like he was disarmed before the fall.
So can I use wrath? Like, do I have to use wrath before I make the roll, or?
I think you use your wrath to re-roll the dice, right?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
I'm going to
dear.
do this.
1.
All right. I'm going to use a wrath to re-roll this one.
All right.
Do you roll everything or just one die?
You can roll.
Or is
I
it-
think
yeah,
all you
is it-
failed.
Okay,
Any
cool.
test or roll.
All right. All right, cool.
3.
All right, I got a 3, but I got a crit success.
Nice. So 3 total.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and give that to you with a crit success. We'll go ahead and do that. Okay.
Good. I did it.
Sweet. Here we go. You notice that Vallis had set aside his clothes for the morning. Boots, breeches, undergarments, jacket, belt, jewelry, all that stuff. However, it seems out of place that there's no shirt laid out. It's impossible to tell if it's just an oversight or if it's missing, but judging by the rest of his wardrobe, it would have been silk and most likely purple. So also
Alright.
inside the area is an enforcer sergeant who is basically accompanying you around, and you can also ask him any questions you want.
Are the doors to this establishment electronically locked or physical locked?
Yep, it is obvious from the outside that the door's metal locking control panel was cut into by powerful clippers. Once inside the mechanism, the killer was able to manually release the lock and gain entry.
So, here's a question. Did this person have access to any other, let's say, sensitive areas that would require perhaps a hand reading to get through, biometric scanner?
He's wondering if there was a lock in the lobby.
Well, I'm wondering, did they take his hands to get access to elsewhere?
Gotcha. The enforcer says that they didn't find anything else that is possible that there was something hidden, but they've done a pretty thorough search for when they know of standard security inside these types of people's houses, but he didn't find anything.
I guess we didn't do too well in the Medicare check, so I was like,
Medicare?
yeah. Hey, man, I was ready for bad Medicare.
All right. Is there anything else in the room of note?
Let's see. Bloodstain. You saw how the killers got in, what happened in the bedroom. You could ask the enforcer some questions if you want to. He's there. He has information.
Did the guy keep any valuables in here with him?
He says that there's nothing of particular note that he knows of that would have gone missing. Because after all, you can only report stuff that's gone missing if you're the person who lost it. So he doesn't know anything that went missing that was there before.
How well did you know the governor before or this guy before he died?
Gotcha. He reveals that Axon is a minor noble in the Volus clan. The Volus clan operate most of the algae export docks on the east side of the Hive. Clan Volus swears fealty to House Galen, which is an important house that controls all the algae processing factorums in the entire lower east side of the Hive.
Okay, but he didn't know the guy personally.
No, the enforcer didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go join the others in the room.
Okay.
Are there any cameras in this homestead? Are there any cameras on the road, streets, intersections nearby?
No, there's nothing right now that they would have that shows that.
Seems like pitiful security.
Yep. He also says that there's no eyewitnesses, since the bulkheads are quite heavy and large.
So this noble was relying more on steel walls than he was on actual security method.
It would appear so, especially because it wasn't an electronic lock; it was a metal one. Yeah.
How much expertise would be required to know how to circumvent a lock like that? I mean, are we thinking of a hiver, a ganger?
It looks like it could have been cut open using something of a similar size to a servitor. Rob, you would notice that it looks like the cutting pattern could be similar to one of a servitor.
Seems strange for a man to be caught off guard in his bed after his home was brute forcefully broken into.
Would it have been quiet?
Yes.
Oh.
So servitors are quite adept at doing these sorts of things quickly and quietly as to not disturb.
Yeah, because there was no eyewitnesses that reported any sounds at all.
But wandering around with a servitor is not something that one does without being noticed.
Right.
Servitors are not small things.
No, they are not.
Yeah, they're humans basically. They're just
If
anyone watching doesn't know, servitors are effectively Borg. They just have large claws oftentimes, or operating heavy machinery and stuff.
Big meaty tail.
But if you imagine what Borg look like, it's kind of like that, right? So you notice something else that seems out of place. Just outside and inside the door, and also next to the body, there are some smudges of dirty grease, as if an oily satchel or bag was placed on the floor. Mixed in with the grease are some tiny flecks of spongy green mass.
Is that the algae?
Make a difficulty 5 investigation test.
All right, here's where I can do some damage.
Don't forget your rat dice.
Yeah. Shoot it.
Do it.
Gotta play by the rules, Mark.
Oh. Let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I got a critical failure, so I'll spend a wrath dice to reroll my failures.
You can never reroll wrath dice.
Oh, you can't?
Nope.
Well, then it's I botched it.
Well, no,
you succeeded. There's just a complication.
Yeah, I succeeded with a complication.
I'm going to give myself a ruin for that. I think I can do that in the rules. So I'm not going to give you a complication this moment, just because there's nothing really to complicate here. But for later on, it's going to add a complication. that I will tell you about later. It might be next session, might be this session if we get there.
That works. I feel like the 1950s.
Cool. So you succeed, and you notice a few other things are missing based off of the fact that there's actually a lot of dust around the apartment. As you notice and you investigate further, you notice there's some things that are missing, where a lamp would be on the nightshade table or the night table. So there's it looks like what would be a lamp missing. Also, one of the art pieces, there's a set of 3 art pieces, and the middle one looks like it's gone. You notice a hook on the wall where it would be. Also, some of the bottles of alcohol are missing from the liquor cabinet.
Ooh.
Everything is fairly low value, and usually pretty easily attained. Even the art piece wouldn't be terribly valuable. You notice the other 2 don't seem that, expensive looking.
Yeah, like someone's high school art project that has no admiration of going past that. It's like, here you go. This is what the teacher asked for.
Yep. The enforcer comes over and he says, are you almost done with your investigation here?
Well, I think we got what we can until we can see the other crime scenes and confirm what else has happened between them.
Very good. Speaking of the other crime scenes, 2 of them have been thoroughly picked over by our servitors. One of them is, not been as picked over, but I could tell you a little bit about the other victims.
Please do, and if you could prevent the crime scene you mentioned that has no servitor activity from being picked over by servitors. It appears that perhaps servitors were used in the crime, and any servitors after the crime would likely contaminate the scene.
Very well. He calls another officer over, tells them to, hurry up, and scurries them on their way in their little bike.
Well, while this conversation is happening, I walk into the kitchen of the area and find myself something sharp to cut out a hunk of the carpet with the grease on it.
Okay, so then you can take some of the grease with you?
So I can take a sample of it.
Okay, then note that in your inventory. Sample of grease. So the enforcer says that Larson Keel was... Alright. Cool. Sorry about that, folks. My bad. The router decided to do a little crashy, but we're back, and we're A-okay. He tells you about the first victim, Larson Keel. We mentioned that the ears were cut off. Yes. Actually, I'll start the whole thing, because I don't know when I lost you guys.
The smoking den.
Oh, yeah, the smoking den. Okay.
A disreputable smoking den.
Right.
Often did by...
Gotcha. So he lost all of his smoking paraphernalia because it was taken, and then his ears were also cut off. It was as though the disfigurement was symbolic, that he had overheard something he shouldn't have, is what the enforcers speculate. The Keel clan is beholden to House Hastus, which control the algae processing factorums of the lower west side of the hive.
So, if that's their assumption, is that the ears were taken to represent that he heard something he shouldn't.
Uh-huh.
Were the hands taken because he touched something he shouldn't?
Yeah, maybe.
Something to think about.
This is also 2 people with connections to the algae district. So one is in the east and one is in the west.
So he says the next victim, Kevin Triss, is another very minor noble who was killed walking home from seeing her lover. She was also stabbed and robbed. The embroidered cloak her lover said she was wearing was never found, nor were his feet.
Oh.
Sorry, her feet. Her feet were missing.
She probably walked somewhere she shouldn't have been.
The Triss family are prominent members of House Galen, which is the Lower East Side hive. Finally, Mirit Tarimnar, who you will be able to view his apartment. Yes, his apartment. Is a lesser noble of a family associated with House Hastus. He was knifed to death in his own bed 5 days ago. Both legs were removed.
Oh, jeez.
Yep, the killer did leave his feet behind, though.
That's weird. All right, it looks like they're trying to just Frankenstein something together.
After since the Tarimnar, I think, was the first murder that happened, so they didn't think to look any further into it.
Which one was the first one again?
Things only began getting suspicious recently.
What's the time frame between murders?
Hold on. Let me check. I don't have that info on me. Yep.
Do they all happen at...
The enforcer doesn't have that exact information, mostly because I don't have that in my campaign book here. Let's say it's all in a matter of about 2 weeks.
All right.
That sounds reasonable.
And all attacks happened at night?
Yes.
So I will ask the
or early morning, like 12 a.m. ish.
Basically, when someone should probably still be in bed. So I'll ask the enforcer if he was also part of the case of the governor's disappearance.
He says no.
Or does he know who can get us information on that? Since
he says that the prefect would be able to do that.
All right, so the guy we were already at.
Yep.
So we'll go to the last crime scene that hasn't been picked over by servitors then.
All right. And then you can all make a difficulty 3 investigation test.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 successes.
Nice.
So can I store the wrath dice again?
Yes. I think there's a maximum, but I'll have to check later. 3?
3 successes.
I got 2.
Okay. So that still should be enough, since the majority got a success. It appears that some items from this home are also missing. Part of a set of silverware cutlery, volumes 1 through 3 of a 6-volume set of historical data slates, and maybe some clothing, though that last one is difficult to be sure of, because the whole thing is in a mess. It looks like someone has scrummaged about a little bit. Finally, there are some oily patches with the same tiny bits of green sponge-like material in it.
I will again cut out a sample.
Sounds good. You now have 2 samples of green algae.
So, seems like there is a bit of a pattern.
Apparently so.
One, they like to steal worthless things and body
parts.
One wonders if the thefts and the murders are related or sort of crimes of opportunity after finding an open door to a body.
Well, so it seems the theft was used to throw off investigation. If you look at it, they just seem to grab random things, regardless of their value.
If that were the case, would they not have grabbed things in proximity to the body? Why go into another room and rummage through a closet? Why not just grab the nearby objects or the objects on the body and stuff?
to throw us off the trail.
Exactly.
Might be adding far too much cunning to what may or may not be unrelated.
Listen,
Or the perpetrator wasn't alone. Perhaps their friends went rummaging about themselves.
they're using a servitor to get in. It's probably servitor for +1 person. How often do you see a servitor walking around by itself, committing murders?
Up until that last sentence, quite often.
But you need to direct them, give them commands. So that requires...
You need to program them and insert it appropriately. After that, it becomes mere machine work.
Pray to the Omnissiah, blow in the NES cartridge.
To use a servitor for such despicable things is a shame on the Omnissiah. If nothing else, this person should be found so that the servitor can be cleansed.
Nice.
I still think it's an up.
The enforcer does mention that there are no solid suspects that they don't know. However, he says Praetor Borscht would know about such matters. Praetor Borscht.
I would love to visit Praetor Borscht.
Well, before you can go visit anywhere, a cavalcade of cars comes steamrolling into your location. So from one of the vehicles a tall man dressed in very Victorian outfit with the classic rolled hair, the white rolls in the hair and everything. Think
so the judge's wig.
Yeah, think of the whole British wig and all that stuff. Also, it has a metallic arm. So Borscht arrives at your location with a squad of enforcers in tows. He asks to speak with you in private while the enforcers form a secure cordon.
All right, wonderful. We were just on our way to see you.
I disregard anything he says and just stare at his arm, trying to look at how it works specifically.
Is there some sort of mechanic test you can do?
Tech check.
Tech check of difficulty 3.
Oh man, he's actually rolling a lot of dice.
I have a tech of 8.
Oh yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right. It looks Adeptus Mechanicus made. So it looked like it was specially manufactured for him. So it's not a standard piece of AdMech machinery.
I will continue to just watch his arm while he talks, entirely disregarding anything he says.
Okay.
Kind of like that person who just stares at your car.
Praetor Borscht is an imposing and intimidating figure. He says, "I am Praetor Borscht. If Prefect Orlis is Governor Veneratio's right hand, then I am the left. The Prefect keeps the hive running, I keep the hive safe. Safe from itself. The nobles of this great hive are proud of what they have attained throughout this tumultuous history of this planet. That pride can often be provoked to rash action should they feel their honor is challenged. Such as in the case of these recent unfortunate deaths. Houses Galen and Hastus both feel aggrieved by these tragic losses, and both seek a swift and amicable end to this whole unpleasantness. I have reviewed all the available evidence and have concluded that the murders of Valus, Triumnor, and Triss are retaliatory strikes precipitated by the unfortunate and accidental death of Larson Keel. After a drunken argument in an unsanctioned obscura smoking den, it is no doubt deplorable, yet I have seen similar altercations escalate like this many times before. I have spoken with and convinced the master of the house Hastus that the Galen scion responsible for Keel's death has been found and dealt with. Now, as you can see, this matter is resolved, and I assure you, the Honorable Rogue Trader Veronius, that there is no need for you to pursue this further.
I appreciate that you've given it a thorough investigation, but I believe that we will have to come to our own conclusions if we are to satisfy our rogue trader.
Yeah, I'm not going back telling them that the local authorities figured it out before he got there.
He is adamant that this matter does not need to be talked about any further.
You make very good points, but does your arm hurt because of the high salt content in the air based on the oceans?
What? I don't know, robots. What are you talking about?
Does it hurt?
No, it's a metal arm.
No, but does the point where it connects in there, does the high salt content of the oceans cause any sort of discomfort or malfunctions? Does it ever do anything it shouldn't?
He disregards you after that.
I'll turn to my party and say, I think this man is more pressed to have a solution, whether it be correct or not. We best just agree with his suggestions and then be on our way and continue the investigation elsewhere.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
This giving me heebies.
He does have some information in case you needed to pry anything.
Well, can you possibly explain why the body parts were stolen at the crime scenes?
Yes. He says, most likely as proof that the assassin's task had been completed, and by them. These mercenary types are interested only in their rewards, and such proof likely guarantees that.
Yes. So, but taking one's legs seems like quite a more difficult task when perhaps the ears or other pieces would do, and quite frankly, the parts removed in many of the cases would not result in death.
And also, are these parts removed not usually used to ascertain the identity of the victim so you can prove you killed the right person? If so, does one person's ear look enough different from another's to prove you hit the right target by showing them an ear?
He says,
Listen,
genetic sampling, of course. It doesn't matter what body parts they take as long as they take something.
Then why not take something small and easy, as my compatriot said, and not the legs entirely?
I'm
never
not.
seen any
I'm not a
hitman take
criminal. I
hands.
don't know what criminals think they do. Criminals.
Blasted criminals.
I don't know why criminals think the way they do.
So, but you have found the person who you believe has done this. Did you find the body parts as well?
No.
Ah. Did he say what he did with them?
No.
And when you say dealt with, is it like dealt with, or like dealt with in a jail?
Well, Space
Prison.
Marine, I think you know what dealing with means.
Yeah, which is why I asked for clarification.
The only clarification you need to know is that you don't need to know.
Ooh.
Can I try intimidating him for the right answer?
Yes, you can. Difficulty 7.
Ooh, what you got? What
I
you
got a 6.
He can do this.
How am I better at intimidating you?
Higher fellowship?
Yeah, your fellowship's higher. All right. No, I can't even get there with rep
Here,
dice.
I'll interrupt as my companion tries to barrel towards him with his chest out. It's like whoa. Hold on. I think what my compatriot was trying to express more eloquently and not through brute force, and I tap him on the chest plate a bit to get him to back down, is it would have been wiser that he could be questioned by those. So if you could perhaps give us the data slate of the transcripts of the interview before his execution.
There are no interviews. There are no records of him saying anything that you need to have access to. Remember, you are not under the authority of this hive. You are, in fact, only under the authority of the rogue trader, and you are only here because of his beneficence.
All right. I was holding back this Kacaradon, but I will easily step away. And should I roll intimidation?
Give it
for
a
that
shot.
now? All right. You said a 7?
7.
Ow! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Crap.
You got a
You can
wrath
use the
point.
wrath dice to roll any failures.
All right. I'll use a wrath die, and
you can reroll any failures, I think.
but not the wrath die itself.
Reroll failures once on attack. S, it's plural.
So I can reroll.
No,
that?
you can't use that one.
All right. Yeah. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So he is a little taken aback by your aggressiveness. He actually reveals that he doesn't actually know why the limbs were taken. He kind of stammers as he says it. I don't actually know why the limbs are taken. Mercenaries might do that, but... He also mentions about the algae. He says the algae don't, seems to, be prevalent there, but, all of these houses have to do with algae extraction. So he doesn't know why they would all have it there.
I'll whisper to my group. Is like, it appears that was it Borsch?
Yep.
Borsch's position is that of nepotism, and he obviously has no actual investigation skills.
He is seeking a quick resolution to this rather than a correct one.
Correct.
It's faulty logic.
I'll thank Borsch for his prudence, and we'll make our way to back to the prefect to hopefully get more information on the governor's disappearance.
So, if someone was programming servitors from the algae
that's true.
Factorum, could you figure out which ones they were?
We could. I guess that would be a tech roll. John.
A little more complicated than that. You can't. Yeah, if you can find the servitors, you can start working on that. But right now, you don't know exactly what servitor. I mean, there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of them.
Oh, yeah.
So we should probably make note to if we visit a manufacturer of the algae extraction areas, just say, "Hey, can we see your servitor logs?" And then we can get you to do a test.
I think it would be the wafer programming area, because it's most of them are programmed via wafers that are then slotted into parts of their
NES
head.
cartridges.
Essentially, yeah.
Yep. One of the enforcers comes over from a car. He says, "Sir, the rogue trader requests the the Vox, basically the phone, for the crew here." Bohr says, "Good. Get away from me anyway. Starting to irritate me. Let me be on my way."
Make sure to lubricate that arm. It's brilliant.
Nah.
I'll pick up the receiver.
All right. So Veronius is on the line. He says, "Oh, good. Report, will you? What have you discovered so far from your investigation?" This is your opportunity to summarize what you think has happened so far, as well as think about what's next.
Well, apparently it seems that each of the because it was like essentially northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. Like each location, a part of the family had a location there, or a member killed that ran one of the off cardinal directions. But it appears that each family has lost a insignificant member at best of their houses and had limbs or other pieces removed. I believe there is significance in this removal, perhaps for some more sinister, unsolved reason as of yet. But each location appears to have been broken into using the strength of a servitor, and been done in the later hours under cloak and dagger, since there seem to be no witnesses or any recoverable data on those events.
Yeah, this killer's got a thing for body parts and clothes. They're probably making some sort of Frankenstein mannequin.
Yes, and I believe that each location had things taken to throw off the scent of what was actually happening, making the detectives or other investigators waste hours of their time chasing leads that don't exist.
Like these guys actually investigated.
Yeah. I do not believe that actually found the culprit and only wish to drown out the cries for revenge by saying the case was closed.
Interesting.
It seemed over-expedient and not very well thought out.
Well, keeping the peace is often more important than having a thorough investigation, and justice is oftentimes best served by the overall trajectory of justice, rather than the actual fulfillment of justice in any individual case. Be that as it may, who do you think is correct in this? Is Borst's version correct?
I do not believe he's correct, but I do believe your assessment is accurate. So let him be the voice to the people, and we can continue our investigation in the shadows.
I agree. So you say a servitor is responsible for this?
If you want to explain the servitors.
Looks like the perpetrator is either utilizing a servitor or bringing one along to get through the physical limitations of the locking systems, as well as more than likely using it in some capacity for limb room.
And what about the grease and algae?
There's been grease and algae shown to be present at 2 of the crime scenes. The other crime scenes have been contaminated by local help, though there were apparently servitors present, so we may be able to gain logs from those servitors.
Servitors, huh? Sounds like it's all about the Adeptus Mechanicus then. Ark, you would know about that. I think I'm going to have you go to Majos Carburast. Majos Carburast.
Who dat?
I think he's the one you need to talk to about all of these things. He's in the mid-hive, responsible for a lot of construction and maintenance of servitors. I think he's the one that you should talk to about all this.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'm glad that you were surprisingly gave us more of a lead than any of the locals.
Well, you're the one that discovered the lead on the servitors, so I had no idea about that beforehand. However, I'm well connected here in the hive on this planet.
Well, wonderful. We will make our way to see him.
All right. On that note, though, it's been a little over an hour, and this is the start of Act 2 that would happen next, where things start picking up. However, Act 2 is Act 2 and 3 combined would take more than an hour, and they will culminate very quickly. So next week we will do Act 2 and Act 3, and then finish out the rest of the adventure.
That sounds good, because we can also have some backup.
Yep.
That's the one. That's the one. You'll need it, especially for this next part. Cool.
I want to go pew though.
Yep. That's the one. All right, guys. So this was fun. Very nice little investigation happening so far. The real strength of the system is making all those rolls happen. And then combat will happen on our next meeting next week.
Oh, don't spoil it.
Looking forward to it. Next time.
No.
Wrath
Next
and
time
Gigabytes.
on Wrath and Gigabytes. That's the one. Sweet. Thanks everyone for watching, and make sure you tune in next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. for our next adventure in Wrath and Giga. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
See ya.